Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our Power of Knowing forums. Join the C-Suite Talks, a LinkedIn live event, episode 210 today. Today, we are talking on the topic of high performance teams, how communication creates 10x results. We have the honor of having Madhulika Sangvi, a LinkedIn top voice, sales leader, CXO incubator, catalyst, and a speaker. Without further ado, let's welcome our podcast speaker onto the event. Hi, Madhulika. Hi, Vijay. I have Vijay also joining us today.
Hello, Prem.
Good evening, Prem.
Malvika, good
Hi,
evening.
Vijay. Good evening. Good evening to the audience as well.
Welcome to the show, Madhulika. I would like to start the session, right? So, the first pointer that I would like to have or your views is on a very important topic that we are talking is value sales, right? So, how sales is what we are talking about, and how does value selling mean and why it is important for sales professionals?
So, first of all, thank you, Prem. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Power of Knowing Forum. This is the second time I'm here on the podcast. I do believe that the first podcast I did with you was the 114th episode, Prem, which you were reminding me of some time back. And
Yes.
this is the 210th episode, and I have the honor of being part of this, great series of podcasts and knowledge series. So, yes, very excited to be here this evening with all of you and share some of my thoughts on this particular topic. Prem, you just mentioned, our topic for the day. It's about value selling.
Yeah.
And I thought of picking this topic because it's really very crucial in our day to day life, right? A lot of people here who might have joined a part of the audience could be from the sales background. And if not, if you're not from the sales background, we all realize that from the day we are born, we are selling something. We are selling ourselves. We're selling a thought. We're selling something that we want. And it's always been it's kind of something which is ingrained in us since childhood, right? We are always pitching for something, isn't it? For those of you who have kids, you know that very well. If you want to learn negotiations and bargaining, kids are the right, example, I would say. So yeah, so this topic is very relevant to senior leaders. Today, many of us would be representing certain verticals or certain specializations. A few of us could be from the sales background in varying domains. But irrespective of where we are today, which vertical we lead or which vertical we are spearheading or even part of, right? Um, Value selling is a very, very crucial aspect of our day to day professional life. And I do believe it extends to our personal life as well, right? So yeah. So Prem, coming to your question, what does value selling mean? There are various, if you actually Google, there are various definitions of sales and value selling and different perspectives that come to the table. But to me, I think value selling is when you're bringing out the most authentic value or virtue of a particular product or a thought or an idea, or a service, right? When you're able to uh, communicate the value of that particular service or product in a way that the consumer will value it the most, right? You're solving a problem for them. So to me, value selling is about bringing out problem solving in whatever you are offering today, and it this value then resonates to the consumer in such a way that they then move forward to consume that particular service or offering that you are presenting today to them. So, in short, to me, bringing out the right value, the right virtue, the right benefits or problem solving benefits of that particular service, product, or whatever it is that you're presenting to the right audience. I hope that answers a bit of your question, Prem. And now, obviously, as we delve into the conversation today, into the discussion, a lot of understanding should emanate over the next half an hour.
Yeah, it does, Madhulika. So, what we are looking at, what pointer that you are saying is you should solve a problem or
Yeah,
uh, solve a problem which they have, that's what is a value selling, is what you're saying. And most of the times that we see is, if you give a value, the customer is with you always, right? And if you solve a
absolutely.
problem and you give that kind of a solution, you can get into repeat businesses, and you don't need to get into new clients. And with this, I think most of the time what we have seen is, acquiring a customer is the toughest thing, and the journey to acquire one customer takes longer time than
Yeah,
losing. It is a fraction to lose a client, but once you
absolutely.
once you acquire, you give value to what you have committed and do little extra, business is always there, is what I understand. Vijay, over to you, Vijay.
Yeah. Mudlika, I would like to understand, does empathy and human centeredness play a role in sales? Also, can you give some of your experience?
Absolutely, Vijay. And I think that's a very pertinent question. I do believe that empathy and human centeredness is at the crux of sales. When we say that we are trying to solve a problem for someone, uh, we have to be empathetic to their requirements. What is their problem? What is it that they are facing currently that you are able to bridge for them, right? It could be a service gap, it could be a product gap, it could be a process gap, and that's what you need to kind of figure out when you are, and that's why the empathy quotient, the EQ, becomes very crucial when you are conversing with a potential customer and trying to solve that problem for them, I would say, right? So empathy does play a huge role in almost everything in life, including sales. If we don't understand our customer, their requirements, their needs really well, then I don't think we are a good salesperson. Okay, so making them comfortable and happy with what they are procuring from you is a crucial part of any sales process. And if we continue to empathize over a period of time in the long term relationship building and the trust building with the customer, I do think that adds immense value into the entire relationship, and with the potential of scaling up your business significantly with that particular customer over decades, right? So empathy and human centeredness does play a huge role while we are living in a very digital era with AI playing a significant role in interactions today, and probably it's going to grow from here on. I think it's the human connection, the comfort, the warmth, the trust factor, which really builds into building a long term sales relationship with any counterparty, with any customer. So yes, I do hope. And for an example, uh, there are a couple of ways of presenting your product, or there are various ways in which you approach a customer, right? So when you're having a first meeting with a customer, you could straight away dive into the product and harp about all the features and the benefits and the differentiations that the product has to bring on the table. But often we don't pause to realize or understand, is it what the customer is looking for? Okay, what is it that they are really trying to solve? And if we are able to focus on that particular feature with empathy, I think the job is done, right? They are happy, you are happy, it's a win-win situation for both involved. So this, I think, this is an example which I try to imbibe in our day to in my day to day conversations with many people in my role, even at even in personal life as well as professional life, with the various collaborations that we tend to do, on a regular basis on both fronts. It does become very crucial to understand where the other person is coming from, and I do believe that strongly improves and increases your success rate and your rate of improving and developing that relationship in a significant manner.
uh,
Yeah,
now
thank you for the insights. What do you?
uh, Now, looking at this empathy part, most of the salespeople get struck, right, where they
Yeah.
see uh, how do I improve, what is that I can do better, is what the thoughts come in on a regular basis when sales. And sales is all about numbers, and it's a number game, right? How can a salesperson improve selling technique to create a win-win for both parties, internal and external stakeholders?
Absolutely, Prem. I think sales is a role where you need to strike a good balance between
Hmm.
serving the customer's needs and also protecting the numbers, the revenue which is expected out of you by the organization. So irrespective of whether you're running your own business or working for a company, it becomes very important to play this very, very crucial balance. You can't be tipping on either side for too long. Okay. So, for example, when I say that meeting the customer needs, right? If there is a very demanding customer, uh, there is a possibility that you overextend yourself to meet their needs and you forget to keep the company's, I would say, vision,
Hmm.
goals in perspective. Okay. There would be times you could land up over negotiating. There could be times when you are overstretching on the service without having a serious discussion with the customer as to what is the business outcome of this entire relationship. Okay. So overextension on both sides, I think, could be slightly dangerous. In my
Hmm.
experience, I've been into this, I would say, into sales as a role for over 19 years now, and obviously, like many others, I've learned it the hard way as well. You evolve as you grow, you evolve as you experience, you evolve as you interact with different kinds of customers, different kinds of people, right? So to play the balancing act, Prem, I think is very, very important. You need to take care of both sides. Okay, so you got to meet your numbers, you got to meet your targets and probably exceed them. And at the
Hmm.
same time, negotiate with the customer in such a way that they feel that they are in a winning position, right? So you offer them services, you package it in such a way that they are willing to pay a slight premium for it at times. Okay,
Hmm.
and they're committed to scale up with you as well in their journey. Okay, so that's what a sales professional seriously needs to be building in the long term. Okay, so now on the numbers side, Prem, obviously there are targets rolled out for any sales organization, and a good sales professional will not only look to or extend themselves to meet those targets. Often they look to exceed those targets, right? That's how companies grow really well. Also, being part of the product development or the feedback loop. Okay, how do you improve the product?
Hmm.
So, what kind of feedback you take back from your customer? Many product developments or improvements happen because of the feedback of the customer, because of the challenges they continue to face in their own markets from their own customers, and especially in the B2B segment, you are dealing with a customer who has their own customers in turn, right? So you have to bring in a little bit of empathy on that part, but at the same time, you build your products and create value. So something known as value stacking, which I often mention, is when you start building value on top of your products and services to improve the experience of the customer and their customers in return. Okay. So when this happens and customers are extremely satisfied, I'm sure you can go back to the table and negotiate better commercials with them for the forthcoming year. Okay, so bringing in that revenue for the company, matching the numbers or even exceeding it becomes very, very crucial, and we should not lose sight of that. And at the same time, we need to continue to meet our customers' expectations. So it's a tough task, Prem. It's not that easy. It needs a lot of practice. And I think the trust relationship or the trust that you build with the customer becomes very crucial in this space.
Now,
The other, yeah,
I'm
sorry,
sorry. See, I was looking at one customer who was very tough while I
yeah,
was part of. I did not do sales like a full time job role there, because when I handled the practice as a
yeah,
role,
yeah.
so I had to look at post and pre sales activities, which had to bring up how do I hand over and stuff, where we found a lot of roadblocks. And
Mhm.
the trust part is what we went in and brought in. That's one point I thought I'll bring in while you are telling this. Go
No,
ahead,
no,
please.
absolutely, Prem. So one is trust, and I think boundaries.
Hmm.
So in a sales role or in any particular leadership role, clear boundaries have to be built while remaining flexible to the situation.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can't have very hard bound boundaries where we lose the deal completely. So the intent is to try and stay as flexible as possible. Show your intent that you're willing to listen, you're willing to navigate, you're willing to shift to the very dynamic requirements of the customer as well. Okay, but at the same time, your customer will respect you more. I do truly believe if you don't say yes to everything. Okay, so that's also an art and a skill. Okay, how do you say no? How do you draw boundaries without breaking the relationship? All
Yeah.
right. So I think in sales roles, building that respect by sometimes having to say no is also very crucial. It's important that the customer respects you for what you offer, for the efforts that you've made for them. At the same time, they should know that everything is not possible. Sometimes things are not really idealistic, and it does take time for a product to develop or a service to develop, with the right intentions and in the right direction. So building, I mean, I do strongly believe trust is important, but at the same time, bringing in the boundaries is also very crucial.
You're absolutely bang on what you said on the boundaries part, because what used to happen in most of
Yeah.
the customers that I handled, I was into services business where you see a scope creep that is happening every time when you give us a
Yeah.
SOW, right? And that
Yes.
SOW has a minimum 10 to 15, sometimes a 20% of scope creep that happens. You say something in very specific, it says it is not mentioned explicitly. So what we started putting in our SOWs, anything explicitly not mentioned in the scope is deemed not out of scope. So that's the pointer we started bringing, and then we started looking at how do I fine tune my proposal document itself, right? When I say yes, but I don't accept everything that is coming in, and that sale goes in a win-win situation where anything extra is getting discussed, otherwise
Yes.
it gets added as a scope, right? That's one thing that I felt very difficult while I was handling the practice from pre-sales and post-sales, because
Yeah.
delivery has to look at taking the pre-sale to delivery and handing over to sustenance once the implementation is done or a product is developed and given to manage the support, right? So lot of gaps used to be there, and that sale piece was which was very crucial at time, and we managed the customer to a larger extent, giving some of the boundaries which we said this is our boundary where we cannot take much more beyond this. Very
And
important.
and and did you find them respecting you more?
Definitely yes, because
Excellent. Yeah.
we said that, sir, this is where we come to a conclusion where we said this is beyond, we cannot do because it is not part of
Yeah.
our scope.
Absolutely. And Prem, at the same time, we shouldn't lose sight of flexibility and dynamism that industries are facing today. And the way deliveries or even any commitments need to be delivered, the timelines are reducing considerably. And with technology and AI coming in, the demands are picking up significantly. Correct. So
Yes.
so all of that, I mean, compared to a decade or 2 decades back, when things were happening at a much slower pace, today we're expected to actually compete with technology or with computers at that particular speed, right? So keeping a flexible attitude is also important, and open mindset. There are times when we have to add in a few things into the scope as well. But at the same time, if something looks really tough at that point in time and your resources are not allowing it, it can be pushed to a later stage, and the same can be communicated to the customer in a very, very clear manner, like you did, right? You set your boundaries in writing, and your customer accepted and respected that. So
Yes.
the communication again is very, very crucial. I truly believe in value selling. How you communicate, what you communicate, and for this, a little bit of reading into the customer is also important, right? Because the acceptance of your communication or understanding of your communication and value selling could be very different across customers, across geographies, across cultures. Okay, so to ease up a little bit and try to understand the background of your customer, talk about unrelated things, warm up the conversation a bit, understand what is it that they are looking for, right? All these things become very crucial when you make your pitch, and you present your value to the customer in sales. Okay, so it cannot, there is no single formula, Prem, according to me, that can be utilized, you have to bring in a little bit of flow, you have to bring in a little of empathy and understanding into the entire conversation. And I think that could be a win-win for both parties.
No, I take your point completely there, Mutlika. So what used to happen? I used to be part of one large organization where we had a project which was running for almost say 3 years, and it so happened that that customer was not happy with any of the project managers who went in. Right, so it so happened that they had to do a DR and we were not ready to do a DR scenario. Right, so when I went and spoke to them, I found out that they are a government firm and a highly confidential firm on their research, and they don't have any offices leaving that building, right? And the challenge or the problem that our people did not understand was they had the primary site on the first floor, their DR site in the ground floor. So, which is actually not as per compliance, where if it is hit, you lose both the sites. You don't have a, but this is a facility which they cannot have a redundant site as well. So that's a because of their research work that they are doing. It cannot
Sure.
go out of that complex. So what we told is, can you give it us in writing, saying that if an issue happens, you lose both primary and DR sites, which is okay for you because you are a research site, and we'll do the DR drill. So project which was running for almost 3 years, we became flexible. Now we are thinking of options, and that options brought us to a stage where customer was ready to do the sign off in 15 days. So we came out of the project in
Fantastic.
15 days, and now that customer is a repeat business customer.
Hmm.
You want him, you he wants anything, he'll just call you. ये this is my problem है रे, you can you look at it, कुछ अलग
Yeah.
सोच सकते हैं क्या? So kind of this is again in Bombay, and another site in Calcutta. So these are two projects which I worked, and it's been a great insight. I've done project with them in 2015, 16, but today also the customer is in connect with me.
Excellent. That's value selling, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
added value
That's
to them in a way that they appreciated it, and hence, that one instance, even a single instance, can really extend any customer relationship into a long term relationship and add value to your company in the long run as well.
yeah. So
Great
today,
example. Yeah.
yeah, today if he finds a problem, he'll just call me. बात कर सकता हूँ अभी. हाँ, because earlier it was like he'll call and he'll not even talk, saying that name or something. He'll, hey Prem, can I speak? Are you available for a discussion? So
Yeah.
that's the
That's
commitment,
fantastic.
that's a value that we have created for him. Vijay, over to you, Vijay.
Yeah, I could relate this conversation. As a project and program manager, we are expected to deliver the solutions, whatever it is, within the scope, no, with no scope creep. So when I talk about value addition, one of my customer, uh, where is the value, right, they ask us. And I was talking with one of the sales guy, and so everything is as per SOW. There is no value because there is no clause. So I could relate this conversation when I talk about the product and services in a competitive environment. What are some steps you would recommend to protect and enhance the value received for the customers?
Could you repeat that again, Vijay? I couldn't hear you very clearly.
Yes. So my ask is, what are the some recommendations to protect and enhance the value that received for the customer in a competitive environment?
Can I
That's
rephrase? Can I
yeah, yeah.
rephrase it for you? What are some of the steps to protect and enhance the value received for product and services in a competitive environment? Is what I think he's
Yeah, yeah,
referring to.
sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. So I think we spoke a little bit about, boundaries. So boundaries do play a huge role in protecting your intent. But the minute you place too many boundaries, we don't grow.
Yeah.
right? We don't explore new avenues. We don't. So if we are to stay within the scope, like Vijay said, right, the expectation is to remain within the scope. If you're only going to remain within the scope, we're never going to grow. We're never going to add value to the customer or even to our own selves or our organizations. So I think a crucial step in any role, right? It could be any vertical that you are engaged in, is to create a growth mindset for yourself. Customers do like people who who are always enthusiastic about growing or batting for them, right? So if you're batting for the customer, at some point if they do feel that yes, this person is on my side and not just on the opposite side selling a product to me, right? I think they are in many cases I've observed in my experience that they're very open to discussing the pros and cons, the nuances of that particular process, and they would be willing to accommodate with you. But as long as you bring in that growth mindset, which I think is very very crucial, and you got to exhibit that growth mindset, especially for sales professionals, right? We need to bring in a lot of energy, positivity. You could hear 100 no's vis-a-vis, probably two or three or five yeses, right? Acceptance of your proposal. So we tend to hear a lot of no's, a lot of declines, and to bring in that positive attitude, growth mindset, uh, you know, uh, persuasion, persistence. These are some of the knacks or some of the characteristics which I do believe strongly that one needs to build in them. So the first step to me, Vijay, Prem, would be building a positive attitude. We spoke about problem solving, we spoke about empathy. These are some of the softer angles. Okay.
Mm.
Uh, I do believe that there are some steps to value selling, and while you can research this particular topic, and there will be a lot of various steps and frameworks available on the internet in various books as well, I want to break this down into three simple steps. Okay. The first would be to resonate, and we discussed this over the last 15 minutes, is resonating with your client is one of the most important things. The first step that you need to take, warm up into the conversation, build that trustworthy relationship. Sometimes it takes time. It couldn't be in the first conversation. Sometimes the first conversation could go really bad. You both are not aligned at all. People are thinking completely differently on two different planes. But as you progress with building a relationship, I think that building um, and building this trust, and building some sort of a way of resonation for both parties, I think becomes very, very crucial. And that's what's the first step, one should be focusing on when building a value sales pitch or a value relationship, a value added relationship, right? Uh, the second step to me would be differentiation. And Vijay, you spoke about this as well, right? If you stick to the scope, how are you differentiating yourself, right? So to differentiate, it's very important to understand, to get into the mindset of the customer, to understand who are they dealing with. Okay, who are your competitors? You might also want to understand what your competitor does and what is their strength. I, for one, never shy from asking, clients, or many times we have open conversations about what is it that they are bringing to the table, that you find a gap with, with our products and services, and what is your suggestion to help us bridge that gap? Okay, and the best feedback comes from the customer, because
Yeah.
they know the outside ecosystem better than us. They know their own customer, they know our competitors also sometimes better, right? So getting feedback from them, understanding what are the differentiations you need to build into your product, or that you already have in your product or service or your offering, that you can pitch. Okay, so I think there if you really want to add value to the outside world, to whoever is buying your product or your offerings, it's very very crucial to bring in a differentiation, and a differentiation which will meet the current demand or maybe even a future demand. Okay, so if you're going to go in a very in the red sea, like they say, right, blue sea against the red sea, where already a lot of people are present, the same solutions are being offered in by multiple providers, and you're trying to just get in there and you're trying to provide the same solution which is not adding value to the customer. Okay, so that becomes a norm. The same solution becomes a norm. So when we create a new solution or even a small value addition, it doesn't have to even be an earth-shattering value addition. It could be a service, or somebody finding you reachable enough.
Yeah.
Even something as small as that can really help build value into a relationship between a customer and a company, right? So identifying those requirements, however small they could be, and building it into what you have to offer, I think is step two, and that could be the key differentiator. Okay, so in my experience, sometimes even the smallest of differentiators can really give a lot of comfort to the customer. And often, yes, for fast growing businesses, you have to bring in more innovative solutions. And that's where I think even sales professionals or various, team verticals can work with the product team to improve the quality, the, timelines, the delivery, the efficiency, the process, and all of that, so that the customer at the end of the day and their customer at the end of the day are happy. Okay, so step two, differentiation and how you communicate this differentiation. Very often, we can do it through an example. Like Prem, you've been taking very interesting examples, of your experiences. So when we take examples of what was the problem statement 2 years back, and how have we solved for that this year, or maybe next, how are we building something to solve for that problem, and how a particular customer kind of benefited from that. So when we communicate this differentiation through an example, through a real life problem, uh, I think it resonates really well. Okay, so bringing in the right form of communication into communicating the differentiation is also very crucial. So you could have 100 differentiations from your competitor, but if you're not communicating them well enough, it's not going to take you anywhere. Nobody's going to buy it, right? So you got to be continuously solving a problem for the customer through the right communication as well. So this is the second step, and the last step, which I would say is in value selling, to me, is substantiation. When we take social proofs, when we take social examples, when we take real life examples of the difference that we have created in someone's life, in someone's business, and when you substantiate what you have spoken about, so it should not all be words, right? Your actions speak louder than words, and any kind of substantiation that has proof, okay, I think will close the deal for you. Okay, and this is a continuous loop that we need to keep on, working on. Resonating with a customer, the bridge can be broken in a minute, right? If you're not in connect with someone, or if you kind of move away from conversations or reduce the conversations over a period of time, and we all get busy in our lives, we all get busy, we get pulled into multiple things, and there are going to be gaps created. But at every opportunity, if you can go back to your customer, just check on them and see how things are going, I think that itself will build the resonation between you on a continuous basis. Differentiating, go back to them continuously to show them what else are you doing. Okay, how can you add more value, what new business can you bring from a customer, and that's where differentiation comes into place. So it's never a one time sale, it's always something that you're stacking over and over and over again over a long term period, with your product and service with your customer. So we all have heard about the Pareto's principle, right? So the top 80% of your customers bring you, the top 20% of your customers bring
20%.
you 80% of the business, right? So while everybody has to diversify their customer base, the numbers are very important. Focusing on your top clients are also very, very crucial. And that's where the differentiation in your products, the product development, and the right time and timely communication of the same can really help you build those bridges over long term period and scale up your business with that particular customer vis-a-vis just a one time sale. So this is again value selling, and it's a very crucial part which I think most sales professionals, or even from other lines of work, can often lose sight of. So always going back to the drawing board and keep picking up and keep talking and keep engaging is, I think, the key to value selling.
No,
So, so,
you're
so I'm just kind of revising the 3 points which we spoke about. One was resonate, one is differentiate, and the third is substantiate, and keep repeating this in loops.
yeah, very important and full of pointers that you have given, Madlik. I think I'll take one example there. Here is I had one customer who was a banking customer and always on escalation. And
Okay.
it used to be saying that you've not done this, you've not done this. And so it had gone to the top management, and I had five VPs sitting around me. I was a project manager at that time. So, and it came into a situation saying that I will lose my job. That's the stage that I was in at that stage. So our top boss came in, met the customer, and we were sitting there, and he said, he asked me, what is the value of this project? I told him the amount. Don't you think they have a problem to be solved? I said, yes, they have a problem. That's called value selling, Prem. I remember his words still today. He says,
Yeah.
that's value selling. You have six people around you who are the VPs of all the business verticals that have to look at.
Mm.
You take them, let them understand what is the current challenges, give them the solution. So in next 3 weeks, we sat around and we devised, like you were saying right now, and for the question that we asked for, where we try to protect and enhance what he's having current, and enhance what is that he can look at long term businesses as well. So what we brought in was, we were at X, we were X, we after this discussion we were X by 10. So we increased 10 times the business that we were doing that in 6 months. And
Fabulous.
yeah, and that business is one of the largest revenue generation for us even today. And if you look at it, you said right, 20% of what you sell is out of the 80%. The 20%, in that 20%, 10% was this customer.
That's
So
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, so looking at that, I wanted to understand, as I was talking about this example, we had a collaboration with other teams also. Do
Yes.
you still believe that cross functional collaboration helps enhance value to customers? If yes, what are some common key benefits in such collaborations?
I can't justify this enough, Prem. I think a lot of the work that we do in professional life at our workplaces is all about collaboration, right?
Yeah,
And I don't think in this dynamic and fast moving environment, knowledge is shifting so quickly. I would say sectors, industries are shifting overnight.
yeah,
Okay, so it's we are moving from I think there's a concept known as VUCA, and then it's moved to something else now, right? So
hmm,
Bani, right? We are moving from a VUCA world and we've come to a Bani world, and I think the full forms of these concepts are easily available. The world is becoming more brittle now. So if you
yeah,
Google these concepts, so uncertainty, brittleness of the world today is a reality.
yeah,
Okay. And I truly believe, unlike the olden days where you would take individual credit for most of the work, that was a culture in many of the organizations earlier, right? People would work in silos or they would work individually, and they would enjoy the credit for their work. But I don't think that's possible in today's world. Okay. So
hmm,
whether you're in sales, you're in HR, you're in finance, you could be in any vertical, you could be in IT, right? You have to collaborate,
yeah,
and you have to bring in the best value through this kind of collaboration or cohesion within organizations. When we work with different teams with an open mind, I think we gain our knowledge as well. And there are
yeah,
times when people from five different verticals could be sitting in front of the customer, because the customer wants complete comfort in terms of your processes, what are your policies, right? What is the technology that you're using? What is the cybersecurity framework that you have, right? So today, no longer are sales pitches about that one-on-one conversation. It's a lot about engaging with the entire infrastructure, entire ecosystem. At times, even with the customer, we tend we land up engaging with their various teams as well. Okay, so it could be operations, product, marketing in many cases where cohesions are being discussed. So collaboration is key. I don't think you can live away from collaboration. You need to have a growth mindset to work with different people and share the credit of the work. You need to work with different people to bring in subject matter knowledge. I might not be from a tech background, but when I go and sit with my IT team, I learn a lot about what are the new developments, what are the solutions coming in, what is the customer wanting, what is the technology and the framework behind the digital products that one kind of manufacturers for various industries, and so much more, right? So, and we take those conversations and those learnings back to the customer, and we build our credibility in front of the customer as well. Okay, so often I think we kind of might undermine the value of this collaboration. And in large B2B deals, you need collaboration. Okay, if you're selling a single retail product, then I understand that it can be a one-on-one sale. But when you're in the B2B business, and these are large ticket dealings, where various teams, various conversations need to be happening in breakout rooms. And this is where I think the success ratio, I mean, for me also in my present role, I believe my success of my team rests on the collaboration that we do. It cannot be achieved on its own. So yeah, so I believe keeping an open mind, moving out from a siloed approach. You can't be selfish and solitary in your approach anymore. You have to enlist more people into the entire cause of sales, and involve all types of subject matter experts into any conversation with a client to enhance that experience for the client as well, to enhance their trust in you, and to build your credibility as well.
What are the key signs that communication is failing in a team? How do you fix it?
You were saying
Wow.
something, Madhulika?
No, no. So I think
Yes.
I'll weave in what I was saying into this question that has been presented now. So we all have blind sides, right? No matter how experienced we are, one could be 30 years, experienced in the industry, and still have blind sides very clearly, right? And communication, I do strongly believe, is one of the core blind sides any leader can have. We do believe that something is working for us. Okay, it's worked for us, and often we get instructional, right? So if you have to bring the ethos or the problem of a client to your internal teams, for example, right, how you communicate what the client really aspires for or expects out of you becomes very, very crucial. Okay, so it cannot always be instructional. There's always a story behind anything that you produce or anything that you deliver to the client, right? So bringing in that ethos, the emotion, the empathy of that particular requirement, the expectations of that becomes crucial as well. And very often we might think that we have communicated something, and the other person might not have understood it fully or could have misunderstood it, right? And it often happens with us also. We don't listen carefully to what others have to say because of the overall poor listening capabilities these days. And I think we all suffer from it in this era of high dopamine, when 20,000 things are happening around us and we are constantly on our screens, and we are multitasking all of the time, being pulled into various things. So part of communication is good listening, which has become very, very difficult these days, and somewhere we have to, as leaders, think of taking a step back and imbibing this consciously as part of our communication as well. So it's not just about good English or good language skills. I think it's about your body language. It's about how empathetic you are and how clearly you're able to communicate the goals of that particular customer to your internal teams. That's one. And vice versa as well. So the inside communication that goes to, the customer as well. Driving teams to deliver is also one of the toughest things, where communication plays a real key role, I would say. And I think Prem, Vijay, both of you, working in very demanding industries, would know this better than me, I think, right? So driving teams requires empathy, requires a good form of communication, right? So the way you kind of lead these projects and in turn deliver to the customer also adds a lot of value to the customer, right? So bringing in a lot of patience, empathy, respect into conversations is very, very crucial. There could be times when each of us are stretched and we might lose our cool as well, right? So but that cannot become a norm. So communication is very key. It has to be calm, focused, dedicated, and pushing towards the right outcomes. That's also very important. And listening skills. So I do believe in the sales profession we talk a lot.
Yeah.
So anybody who's into sales here who has joined will know that we are talking non-stop, and somewhere we have to kind of take a step back and listen to what others have to say, listen to what our teams have to say. Often they bring in differing views, which can become very, very important for disruption. In sales roles, you could be operating things as a process and you become comfortable as that process because it's been working for you. But you're not seeing the point, and maybe you're blindsided to the fact that maybe in the future this is not going to work and something needs to change.
Yeah.
Okay, so and that's where sometimes smart team members bring in some insights saying, why can't we do this way? This is not going to work. This is a feedback the customer has brought. We should change the way we do things. And often as leaders, we might say, I don't want to change the process. And this happens with me as well. Okay, when everything is going good, why do you want to change it? But it's important to listen to the communication they are bringing in, the feedback they are bringing in, and make those changes at the right time before it's too late. Okay, and this is one more thing where you can be adaptive and ahead of times by listening to the feedback of the customer and your team. If you're ahead of the times, the customer will always be happy. I strongly believe this because you're catering to the future, not just the past or the present, right? So
I'll
yeah.
take one example here. When I was doing a data center build project, and I have told this earlier as well in one of my podcasts, is that we had the power line and the data line going next to next, which is not an ideal way of building a data center. So, but we had two trenches and there was gap between that, but that was not sufficient. So we were talking and we had to deliver this in next 3 4 days. Customer came in, Prem, कुछ नया सोच सकते हैं, because I feel there is, when there is power and data traveling together, you'll have transmission loss or you'll have latency which will crop up. So what can we do? So I said, I've built all the wires, everything is cut and it is only to be crimped on either sides of it. What do you want to think? So can I think something? So we went into the board and we saw, let thought all these things, and we shifted the power right up onto the rack which was on the floor. We took the pathways and fixed on the roof, and the cables were laid with the same lengths. We did not change anything. That one change saved us 4 days of work, because power guys were able to work on the other side, the data guys were able to work on the other side. So this is a small example where we went and sat with the customer, understood, and we tried to bring in value. So he said that is a workable solution, why don't we change it? So, and we changed it out. So that is one example. I think when you talk about bringing a value is what I thought I'll bring it up. Now with this, there is always something or other which brings a roadblock for winning sales team, guys, which is common always. You win something and you'll find a roadblock. So what is that biggest roadblock to a winning sales deal like a pro, and how can you enhance your success rates in the sales closures, is one point that I wanted your inputs with, which is going to be our final question. And we have some people working asking us on comments. We'll bring that on to the comment section next.
No, absolutely, Prem. And uh, I think to in cap just Prem, could you repeat the question again?
What is the biggest roadblock
Yes,
to a
roadblocks.
winning
Correct, correct.
sales deals?
Oh,
Like,
there are a lot of roadblocks, and I think the biggest one is mindset.
yeah,
Okay, so while organizations do have sales frameworks, they could have their process documented. They've got their CRM in place, and there are disciplined activities which are required in sales, which gets you to the big closure at some point, right? So it's your daily discipline which takes you to the big closure. But I strongly do believe that you have to do much more than just follow the disciplines. And the biggest roadblock to me in creating value is the mindset. What could happen over the years is if you're not evolving yourself, if you're not adopting a growth mindset, you tend to remain in a comfort zone, in the comfort of the processes which have already been set, right? Which have been tried and tested in a different era, maybe a few years back, and that worked really well for you as a sales professional. But the world is truly so dynamic, like I spoke about. And if we don't evolve ourselves, if we are not listening enough, if we are not acting on feedback enough, okay, that's not going to take you forward in your sales endeavor. Okay. So, like I said, right, sales is not just about meeting targets, it's also about exceeding expectations. It's a lot about relationship building, it's a lot about customer delight at some point in time. Okay. So, in large B2B businesses, often there are a lot of tailwinds and there could be a lot of headwinds as well. Because when you're collaborating with multiple people, okay, everybody does not come with the right mindset and the right enthusiasm that you could have. So you would be fully enthusiastic to commit something to the client and to go and deliver and get the right price for the company. But often it could be the competition that has undercoated you in a big way, and the client wants you to match that. Okay, it could be the inside sales where people are busy and they might not be aligning in the right way to the requirement of the client at all points in time, 24/7. Right? It does happen in the real life. So roadblocks is so when you look at roadblocks, I think collaboration is one of them. You got to ace that. You would know you would want to build those key relationships on the inside as well, which is very very important. So you can't just be outside facing. You can't just be spending all your time with the customer and not with the inside teams, right? So balancing your time between the internal and external, stakeholders becomes very crucial. And this is, I think, one of the biggest roadblock in high growth businesses, because high growth businesses will give you a problem of plenty. And when you have a problem of plenty, you probably are going to face time crunch on everything. Okay. So so a lot of challenges can come up, and these could be a roadblock, and your mindset will lead the way as to how you want to resolve for these problems and where you want to prioritize your time, effort, and energy as well. Okay, so in sales, you have to be a little smart. You have to evaluate the opportunities strategically. I truly believe, Prem, as the opportunities increase for any business, the strategic selection becomes very very crucial. Okay, and obviously then you need to add to your resources to cater to all the inbound inquiries and other things. But the biggest roadblock also, one of the biggest roadblock also could be resources. So if you don't plan in advance for a high growth business, you are going to struggle with sales because you won't be able to deliver. You might not be able to cater to the client. You might not be able to go for a second meeting, and follow up meetings, calls, persistence is very very crucial in any sales role. Okay, so if you're not able to direct this kind of energy and efficiency into any sales conversation to close the deal, and you're struggling on resources, you're struggling on time, it is going to be a challenge. Okay, so I do believe mindset is one key thing, then your resources, your time, and how you build the ecosystem around you, how you engage the channels to work most effectively for bringing in more business for your company. So these are some of the thoughts I thought of speaking about. See, if you come to the crux of it, in basic sales, process. Again, coming to discipline. So now I'll come down to the basic sales process, right? So things like discipline of follow-ups, pursuing the client, maintaining your client pipeline, reading the news, uh, understanding that what is happening in the industry, which client is doing what, where is money coming in, what are the big deals happening, right? Which client can I approach? Can I do something different? What are the new products in the market? So analyzing all of this also becomes very important, because if you know that a client is, and through your network also, if there is a new business coming in or new requirement for a particular client, and you can use a referral or a reference to reach out to that client to add value for that particular requirement as well. And this is where I see a lot of sales professional not able to cater, because you're not extending yourselves to what is happening in the industry, connecting enough, getting enough referrals, looking at new opportunities. We could be missing new opportunities just because we are very focused on our daily discipline. Okay, so keeping an open mind, even on a basic sales level, is very very crucial. In some of these activities of keeping ourselves abreast of things, updated of the industry, seeing what different companies are doing, becomes very very crucial. And this could become a roadblock for you if you are not extending yourself to these activities. So I covered two things. I think on an overall level, I did cover the more the high level stuff that could become a roadblock for you, and also the basic stuff that can become a roadblock in value selling.
Yeah.
I hope that helped.
Yeah, it does help. A lot of information there, and I have few questions which I would like to bring up on the stay
Yeah,
this one here. One, Brian, somebody says greeting to all, and I have Kiran who says definitely empathy is a key and cornerstone of active listening. So he has a lengthy statement that he's put as well. I come from the HR background where supporting employees is near in every possible way comes naturally. Setting boundaries in the space, that space was always clear to me. However, in the current business, I find struggling with the scope spillover, taking more. Uh, Let me bring that again. So it says it's bigger. This one I'm not able to full get the full sentence here on the screen. Okay, the where it is spillover. Yeah. So it is not coming. I'll read that out to you on this one. We'll respond to that on the
sure,
chat.
sure. Yeah. So I just like to say is that I've been coached at Kiran at some point in time. It's so amazing to see you here, Kiran.
Okay.
And I just I'm honored by the last sentence that you mentioned. Happy to speak to you. You could coach me on it. Uh, I think we all learn it the hard way, right? And especially women. I'm a very gender neutral person, but I do believe that women do need to multitask a lot more. And
Okay.
by nature, I think we do as well. So this is where sometimes I think creating those boundaries becomes very difficult because we want to be an achiever in all legs of life, right? So Kiran, I completely associate with you. And one of the things which I have struggled with also is again coming back to that high growth business, high demanding work environment when you don't have a choice but to be making hundreds of thousands of decisions in a day, right? And you have to act very, very quickly. And
Yeah.
you will end up taking a lot of those decisions in good faith, thinking that you can handle it. But that's where delegation is truly important. So I think we have to give up, some of that control and delegate and have faith in our team members. Prepare more resources, get extended help wherever possible in all realms of life, be it at home and or professional life. And so delegation really, really, I think trustful delegation is something we all need to work upon. So I hope that answers your concern, Kiran. But I
So
do appreciate you.
I'll read out the other
Yeah,
point which is spillover, and it
yeah,
says
yeah,
spillover and taking on more than what initially agreed upon, hesitating to call it out, letting change for it. I recognize that it is a shift I need to make.
hmm,
Learning to define and uphold boundaries effectively while ensuring value of our work is acknowledged and
absolutely.
compensated, right? So
Hmm.
it is a new muscle I need to build, and I love to hear your thoughts on advice and navigation through transition. Happy to speak to you. You could coach me on it. So that's the final point that's
Yes,
come with Kiran.
yes,
Yeah. So
yes,
I'll bring in the next pointer where I have Kuldeep saying these three pointers are very important and true, and that's where Kuldeep is come up. Then we have
yeah,
another pointer from Priyanka: differentiation or a value addition always stands out and helps building a constructive relationship with the client. So that's
absolutely.
what Priyanka wants to say. And we have Jignesh and keeping Kanban board discussing retrospecting and being agile in adopting new ways can keep aligned with goals is what I have with Jignesh. Again, Priyanka has something again to say. Is absolutely agree, Mantrika. Constructive feedback forms the teams always help look different perspective. Team lead should always encourage such mode of two-way communication, which I think I completely agree. Where you have a two-way communication, which solves a lot of the problems which can come up while we do a project. Again, Jignesh says there's always some new learnings every time I listen to Madhulika ma'am. So I must
Thank you
say,
so much. Yeah,
I must say that it is even spent well with full of learning about value selling. So those are the points, and yeah, with that we have the questions that have come on the comments going out. That's what we have. I think with this we have come up with our time as well, which is on dot 9. uh, 7:30. I'll just summarize on what we spoke, Madlika. Looking at, we spoke about how empathy plays an important part of selling, and how do we connect uh, as a value selling to be an important role which sales professionals look at, and some of the techniques that we spoke in creating a win-win for both parties, whether it is internal external stakeholders. Also, we spoke about protect and enhance, how we protect the interests of the customer and also enhance the services and products that we give to customer, and some of the do's, and how cross functional teams can help us build better solutions when we talk, not as a single person, as a team. If you go and give kind of a solution which can be collaborative, is what we spoke about. Some of the roadblocks also, and some of the communication challenges that we have, part of sales, and adding value to customers is what we spoke. With this, I think we are on top of the hour. Madlika, any pointers that you would like to say before we conclude?
No, thank you for encapsulating our conversation, Prem. And in fact, I've noted down, uh, your encapsulation, and thanks for that. And I'm very happy and honored to be part of this discussion, and I'm looking forward to engaging in more podcasts on different topics with Prem, Vijay, and Power of Knowing Forum. One of the things I would like to leave a thought with everyone. Whenever we are dealing with someone, it could be someone senior as well, we must remember that we are dealing with a human being.
Yeah.
So we are dealing with a human being. We are not dealing with a machine. And in sales, there's always a fear of getting rejected, of you not knowing enough, you not being good enough to add value to the conversation, or communicate the value of the product really well. As we have been speaking about value selling, and all these doubts do come in. It comes in irrespective of how experienced you might be. But one thing I'd like everyone to remember is you are at the end of the day dealing with human emotions. The person on the other side wants a problem to be solved. They want to meet certain goals they have set with their organization, and it impacts them personally. Okay, so them delivering on that impacts them personally and their organization. So there's a responsibility they need to fulfill, and you have the power to help them fulfill that. So it's a human element at the end of the day. So the numbers do come in at some point in time, and they are important, no doubt about it. And you have to be objective about things. But I think when we approach somebody as a human being, as a human relationship, I do believe the relationships that you build, even in business, can be absolutely phenomenal. So, leaving that thought with you, and hope you enjoyed this podcast. And thanks again, Prem and Vijay.
Welcome, Madhulika. So, with this, I think we are on top of the hour. We have streamed this podcast on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and it is being streamed. Hope you found this discussion valuable. And our next podcast is going to be the 211th episode that we are talking on the 18th of this month, coming Tuesday, which is on tech security, leadership, and management. How application security, posture management is going to take a role in the four pillars of the industry, which is on the 18th of February at 6:30 p.m. Looking forward to see you. Good day and bye for now. Thank you, Madlika.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Vijay, for joining us today. And with this, we would like to conclude the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Madhurika. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.